Hi, I'm Mr. Marshall, and I want to tell you a little bit about our modern classrooms model of self-pacing in language arts this year. So this is based off of a organization called Modern Classrooms out of Washington, D.C., and the differences are that you're completing lessons at your own pace. So you get to decide how fast and slow you go. However, choosing a pace of 0 is not one of the available options. But my hope is that this will help you feel in control of your own learning. So some things to know is we're all working towards the same learning targets and summative assessment. However, not everyone is going to be doing the same thing at the same time. So that means sometimes you might be grouped with people who are working on the same thing as you. Sometimes you might be working alone with support from a teacher. And the really important thing about this model is that mastery is more important than rushing to finish. So practicing a skill and then showing you know the skill. So in self-pacing, you just want to talk about kind of who does what. So on my end, I will post and write your content, the lessons that we come up with. I'm going to provide you structure, time to get to know each other, time to collaborate, and I'm going to establish pace. So I'm going to do that in 2 ways. Every day, I'm going to tell you the suggested lesson you should be on, and twice a week, I'm going to show a pace tracker, which is indicating if you're on pace, behind pace, or ahead of pace. It's color-coded, so you'll be able to see kind of where you stand. I will grade and give you feedback, and I will meet with you and answer your questions. For students, I want you to make sure you're logging in every day, making progress towards completion. So just like we talked about, you can't choose the pace of 0, but the pace that works best for you. Please ask questions. Because we're in distance learning, I won't always know when you're stuck in the same way that I would if we're in a classroom together. So it's really important to me that you're asking questions, using comments on Google Classroom, emailing me, and pressing that Ask for Help button if you're in a breakout room. The other really important thing is that you're checking and reacting to the pace tracker. So you're looking at it when it's posted, and then the reaction is either emailing me if you're not sure about an assignment, sending me a message in the chat if you think maybe you completed the assignment and my pace tracker isn't quite up to date, or finding documents if the pace tracker shows you're missing an assignment, checking for any comments from me of what you might need to revise, and submitting those again. So the reaction could be a lot of different things that you do to respond to the pace tracker. The other thing is that we really want to build a community. I don't want you to feel like self-pacing is you alone on an island, right? We're in a community. So that means sometimes I'll be putting you in a group with other students who are working on the same lesson as you, and you're working together, you're supporting each other. And that means if another student has a question that you know the answer to, you're really helping them out and stepping up and offering information. All right, so I want to talk a tiny bit about the way our Google Classroom is set up. This should be pretty familiar to you from math and science, but just to be sure, all lessons are going to be numbered and will be either labeled must do, should do, or aspire to do. So you can see over here, Unit 1, Lesson 5 is a must do. Unit 1, Lesson 6 is a should do. And lessons may have multiple tasks within them. You've got to do all of the parts in order to move on to the mastery check. And mastery checks will not be graded if the lesson work is not complete. And that's because it's more important to me that you are practicing the skill and then showing what you know than that you are rushing to finish an assignment. All right, so I know I said must do, should do, and aspire to do. I want to make sure that we understand the difference between those 3 types of lessons. Must do lessons. These are lessons that are essential to the learning target, so you must do them. Not completing these lessons would result in you not passing the class. Should do lessons are intended to help you be successful in meeting the learning target. They're for practice, for deepening your skills, so you definitely should do them. Without completing these lessons, it would be really difficult for you to be successful in our final assessment. So must and should do's are for everybody. Unless we have made some kind of special arrangement, you should do must and should do lessons. All right, aspire to do's. These are lessons that push you towards serious mastery of the learning target. So they're things that you aspire or hope to do. So the purpose of these lessons is really to allow you to go above and beyond grade level standards and exceed expectations. So just clarifying the difference between lessons and mastery checks, because you'll see both of them in our Google Classroom. So there's a lesson and a mastery check. So lessons are where you're building the skills or knowledge, you're practicing. These can be done in groups or independently, depending on what works best for you. Mastery checks, though, are when you're showing what you know. So these must be done independently. So I know that you've got it or you need more practice. And I'll be giving a bunch of different kinds of feedback on lessons. The feedback will be for you about how you can improve and succeed on your mastery check. This feedback stays in Google Classroom. Scores on mastery checks are what go in the gradebook. And you'll see on both lessons and mastery checks a grading scale of 3 to 1. 3 is you exceeded the learning target, you went above and beyond. 2 is you met the learning target. You did everything you needed to do and you showed all the skills that were necessary. 1 is you did not yet meet the learning target. Something's missing or you need a little more practice. So in terms of grading, what does this all add up to? So if you want to earn an A, you need to do at least 2 aspire to do's with a score of 2 or better. So that's where the mastery part comes in. You can't just try and aspire to do and call it good. You really want to master the skill. So you've got to get a score of 2 or better. You've got to meet the learning target. And in addition, you've got to do all the must do and should do assignments with a score of 2 or better. If you want to be in the B range, you do all the must do and should do assignments with a score of 2 or better. And if you want to be in the C plus B minus range, you're doing all the must do assignments with a score of 2 or better. You're meeting the learning target, but you're not yet exceeding. And I'm sure you have a million questions, so I took it upon myself to guess at a couple you might have and try to answer them. What do you have to do to pass this class? You have to do the must-do lessons. That will land you solidly in the C plus, even B minus range, depending on your effort and communication. If you are not on the same lesson as everyone else, that's okay. It's self-paced. You are helping to keep track of your own progress with support from me. If you're absent, it's okay. It's self-paced. You and I can make a plan for how you will make up that work. And how can I get help? You can let me know in a Zoom session. You can write me a comment on an assignment. You can send me an email. And you can send me a help ticket in our toolbox. So most of all, it's really important to me that we are communicating. I won't be able to do this self-pacing without you communicating with me about where you are at and what you need. So let's talk about it. Let's communicate so that we can be successful together. Thanks.